What's up, Fanout Crew? Brian, Jeff, Colby here. Finally, after a few weeks of being overdue, we're going to sit down and talk about Thor after watching it again. And I'm not talking about the current Thor, I'm talking about the old 2011 Thor. Our first outing with the blonde Viking and his twerpy brother. Like Loki was blonde, very underwhelming in this movie with his build.
Yeah.
Who would have thought he'd become what he is? I guess before we jump into doing any ratings, how did you guys feel going back and watching this? How long had it been since you had last seen it?
It had been probably 2 or 3 years since I had seen this movie, and I was quite pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It had been a minute, and you know, the MCU Phase 1 films kind of are what they are, but they started it all, so you know, they have a special place for me.
Yeah. How long has it been for you, Jeff?
It's probably been a few years. It was always one of my go-to movies just to throw on. You know, if it came on, I watched it. But we'll get into if I like it or not.
Okay. Yeah, it had been probably about 2 or 3 years for me too. I remember being kind of let down when the movie first came out, just because I didn't like the ending a whole lot. It was abrupt, but just a refresher for everybody, we're going to rate this in 5 categories. So cinematography, cast performance, plot, rewatchability, and the music score. Colby, I'm actually going to call on you first. What do you think about cinematography on this one?
Cinematography I have as a 4. This movie is very beautiful to look at most of the time. The Asgard scenes are just incredible. Jotunheim looks great. That opening sequence when, you know, Anthony Hopkins is kind of talking about Asgard, and it kind of does this really sweeping shot of the city and the, I guess, castle, if that's what it is. There's better, you know, looking movies out there, but as far as Phase 1 MCU films go, this is one of the better looking ones, I think.
I agree with that. I came in a little lower at 3.5. There is a lot of beautiful scenes. I just don't remember anything that stood out as like super memorable scenes that was better than things I had seen in the past. So I felt like it was kind of average or on par with the other MCU movies, which isn't to say it's bad. It wasn't as good as others I've seen. What do you have, Jeff?
4. I thought it was really good. You were talking about memorable scenes. What really stuck out to me was the Frost Giants, their kingdom or whatever it is. I thought it was really well done. They looked believable, especially when Odin comes down on the 8-legged horse. I thought it was dope.
Let's jump over to cast performance. So this movie, I actually called this a 4.5. A lot of MCU bigs get introduced in this film. Anthony Hopkins, Skarsgård, Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth. You got Loki. So a lot of good people in here. The only kind of casting choice that I didn't like was Princess Amidala or Queen Amidala. Felt like she was just kind of blah. Like they tried to get a popular actress at the time. I feel like they could have gotten any other person and they could have done better. And then you've got the hilarious assistant that I can't remember the name of. Her kind of lab partner.
Darcy,
yeah. That goes on to be in WandaVision. She's great. So overall, the cast performance was solid at 4.5 for me.
Yeah, I have it as a 4 for pretty much the exact same reasons. I love everybody in this movie except for Natalie Portman. It's not that she's bad. She seems like she just doesn't want to really be there. You know, she's just kind of going through the motions and stuff. I love the casting of the Warriors 3, you know, Thor's friends. And I was going to say Heimdall is great. There's nobody else on this planet that could play Odin other than Anthony Hopkins. And Tom Hiddleston is so perfectly cast as Loki, and he doesn't really get a chance to shine too much in this movie, but that's totally by design. The third act, he really gets to flex his muscles a little bit when he and Thor are fighting on the Asgard bridge, and he's like, you know, if you destroy the bridge, you're never going to see her again, all that stuff. That's a really powerful scene by Hiddleston there. I think everybody's good is good in this movie except for Natalie Portman. 4.5 is probably a better score, but I'm just going to go with a 4.
I think Loki, I don't think they expected him to be as popular as he was. Like,
I wrote down that Loki. Yeah, I actually put Loki's an accidental great villain in this movie. Like, I don't think they knew what they had. I mean, they knew Loki was going to be great, but I don't think they realized it was going to be that good as he was.
I gave it a 4, basically the same views as you guys. Natalie Portman, I think she's a great actress. I think that like Brian said, they just went and got a big name. You could tell, like, she was like, oh, this is just a comic book movie. You know, I don't think back then they realized how important these roles would be. It's great to see Loki, Tom Hiddleston, like, grow as a character, going back and watching these and know where they're at now as the character. But seeing them when they first start, you know, it's really interesting and cool to see how they've changed, you know, throughout the universe. Did y'all see the cast whenever he went out? Because he actually put in to audition for Thor.
Yeah, I did.
It just looks so weird.
It looks so weird. It's exactly what I was going to say.
It looks so weird.
And it's not because we know him so much as Loki. It's just I don't think it was a good fit, and that's why they chose him for Loki instead, because he's just perfect as that. When I heard that, I was like, Tom Hiddleston as Thor. I could not even picture that.
Yeah, it was definitely weird seeing him with the longer hair. I think he was even blonde.
He's like a blonde wig or something. Yeah.
It was cool, but they definitely made the right choice.
Kind of odd Loki thing I noticed the other day. I actually rewatched Wolverine, and the old Loki is in Wolverine.
Which Wolverine?
Logan.
Oh, okay, the good one.
Old Loki, Richard E. Grant, is the scientist that clones Wolverine, which I just thought I was like, headcanon, he's Loki in that universe now. Plot for this movie. I've got some harsh things to say with this, so I'm going to start off with one of you guys.
You have some harsh things about it, you said?
Yeah.
That's all right. I have this as a 3.5 because this is a very formulaic, you know, superhero movie, okay? But in the era of villains gotta be kind of good, and you know how everybody wants that now? They want their villains to be gray area. Like, they don't want evil villains, and it's just like, sometimes a guy just wants to watch an old school comic book movie where the hero already has his powers, he loses them, he has to prove himself to be worthy to get him back. Like, that formula works, and yeah, it's old, but I think it works in this film because Thor is the type of character that the more he's around humans, he becomes more human. Like in this movie, he's all like talking in a much older style of speech, you know, and then you see him in the second Thor and he starts to loosen up a little bit. And then later in Ragnarok, he's like, is he though? You know, like he's telling jokes and stuff. Like this movie is necessary for Thor's journey. And I'm okay with the plot just being what it is.
Maybe I wasn't as harsh as I thought I was then, because I also had a 3.5. I felt like the movie needed to be about 30 minutes longer, 20 to 30 minutes longer. And I say that because he gets his powers taken away pretty early on. Like, he shows he's a badass. He gets his powers taken away. The rest of the movie is sort of his journey to becoming worthy again and getting his powers back. And I feel like as soon as he gets his powers back, the movie's over. And I remember when this movie first came out, and it still hits me every time I watch it, sitting in the theater and be like, oh man, he's about to kick this thing's ass. And then the movie's over. It ended too quickly. And I felt like there needed to be a little bit more of a battle at the end that actually showcased Thor, whatever that thing was called, the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's
he
not
needed something else.
That's not the end, though. I mean, he has that whole thing with Loki at the end. And it's much more character driven at that point, about him having to choose to not be able to see Jane again, to be able to save Earth, you know?
Yeah, that's there. I felt like we needed to see a little bit more combat at the end. Like, there's more action in the beginning of this movie with Thor doing Thor stuff than there is at the end, and I felt like the climax fight could have been a little bit more than what it was.
I gave it a 4. I actually enjoyed the plot, just because I'm not a comic book guy, you know, never read comic books and stuff, so I kind of liked how they brought him in. Actually, all the characters for that point, but I thought they did a good job. I don't know, it's Natalie Portman. I just keep wanting to go back to that because I feel like another actress could have made that part so much better. But the whole plot, I thought was good. Loki is the bad guy. You find out that he is a frost giant, I guess, from that bloodline, whatever. I know he's not a giant per se, but I don't know. I just found it really, really cool. It kept my attention. You know, I'm going back to when first time I watched it, back when it came out. It was never really dull to me. You know, they had the funny parts and the action parts, and I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good plot.
Yeah, it is a fun movie. The frost giant thing is an interesting thing that we didn't talk about, where that just is kind of seemingly forgotten throughout the rest of the movies. They don't really talk about it anymore.
I was just going to say that, like, he's there and he touches the thing and then his skin turns blue and then it's like, oh, okay.
I know that he told Odin, I was a baby and you took me from him. What was the point? Yada, yada, yada. But, like, how is he in that form Why is he not? Why doesn't he look like them?
Yeah, they don't really. I don't know that they ever really explain that. Odin even later on really truly does acknowledge him as his son. So
Right.
it's like, I guess it doesn't matter anymore for Loki's journey, but it's one of those things that it's just sort of like a plot device. Like, hey, you're really like you're adopted. You're really a frost giant, but you know I felt bad and I took you in, and this is why you feel the way you do. Why you feel
Right.
like you're the black sheep of this family because this, and then that just sort of sets him down that path. So it's there, but it's never really resolved, I guess.
Music score. Colby, you go first on this one.
For the Thor score, I have a 4. There's no other way to put that. Sorry. Basically, the Asgard theme is just so good. I mean, I can hear it right now when they're sweeping over that city, and you can hear the Asgard song. It's great. I love when he gets his powers back. Mjolnir kind of just sweeps in and he grabs it, and then the music really just kicks up with the crescendo and stuff. And Natalie Portman's like, oh my god, like such a cool scene. It's not Alan Silvestri like Avengers level score in this movie, but still really solid. So I have it as a 4.
I gave it a 3.5. Our pinnacle right now is Guardians of the Galaxy, for scores
Yeah.
for movies. So I kind of always base it off of that. There's definitely better. I think Marvel movies, the Avenger movies and stuff, I think have a better score. It's still good. It's not bad by no means. I mean, it's to Colby's points. Yeah, when that music kicks on, you're like, oh shit, yeah, this is it. But I'm not rocking them in my car to that soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good for what it is.
So I actually came in a little lower than you guys at a 3. There was one or two good tracks throughout the movie, but otherwise, like, there was music and it was okay, but there wasn't anything super memorable compared to Avengers or Lord of the Rings or something where you just know everything going on in the movie, Game of Thrones, Ghostbusters. Like, there's so many more kind of up there movies that I couldn't give this anything above average.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, the Asgard theme is just so good that it just elevated it. But that's why
It is really good.
Things,
it is. Yeah, and I'd say like that theme is one of the standout themes within the MCU, but it's sort of by itself in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
There's another couple, I guess, little short moments, but not like a full score that is just engrossing. And that brings me to my favorite category, as you guys know, rewatchability. So, Jeff, how rewatchable is this?
I give it a 4. Like I said earlier, I actually enjoy the movie, and it is one of the movies that if it's on, I'll watch it because it does keep me interested. Every time I watch it, I pick up something that I didn't notice the first time, or it's just a good movie all around, in my opinion.
I've got a 3.5, and it's not because I don't have any problems with this film. It's very easy to rewatch. It's just within the context of the MCU, there's other movies that I would rather watch. Because Thor Ragnarok is so good, like, I know that if I watch this one, I will have to watch The Dark World and then watch Ragnarok, and it's better to just watch Ragnarok. It may be unfair to rate the movie that way because it's not as good as the best one in the series, and that's not this movie's fault. This movie is actually very well directed by Kenneth Branagh. 3.5 is not a horrible score. If it's on, like Jeff said, if it's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo that at 3.5. It's not going to be my first choice. It might not even be in my top 10. Like, if you asked me to pick a Marvel movie to watch, this probably wouldn't be it. But yeah, 3.5. It's fun. It like you were saying earlier, Jeff, it's got some comedic moments. The action's good. The acting's pretty good. It's hard not to have fun while you're watching.
Right.
Even with its small flaws it has.
Yeah.
It's really
I
fun.
think this movie gets a little bit of a bad rap. Personally, a lot of people don't like it. I think it's actually really good. I enjoy watching this movie. It's kind of like Iron Man 2 in the fact that a lot of people don't like it, and I actually really enjoy it. It's not as good as the movies that we see down the line, but there's a lot of movies that are in the MCU are just sort of in that middle tier. I would rate this one kind of in the middle. There's nothing wrong with this movie. There's nothing really super great about it. It just kind of is what it is, and it's an origin movie that we had to just sort of get through.
It came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. The MCU itself has changed so much since then.
Yeah, I would say this suffers from the same thing Iron Man 2 suffers from, at least with me. With MCU got so good that I just had this, like, each movie is better than the last, at least in most cases. And once you get a few movies into the second phase, when you think back on Phase 1, you're like, man, these movies are so much better than Phase 1 was. But you kind of forget Phase 1 was groundbreaking.
Right, the start of
These
it.
movies are still great. They may not stack up to some of the newer ones, but they're still awesome movies. And I think Thor gets a bad rap for that, just like Iron Man 2 did.
Yeah, I think he has a really great arc in this film. Actually, he starts out as a really just, hothead, and he just wants to just fight people. He's just a warmonger, and then he gets his powers taken away. He realizes that he was wrong, and he atones for all that stuff. He saves Midgard, and he has a good arc in this film. And I love Darcy's character. Jane is just sort of there, but Loki is the standout in this film for me, and you're only getting a little appetizer of Loki in this movie.
And he's become one of the biggest stars in the MCU.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
without a doubt.
you
In the world
can make the argument
today.
that he's had the best arc of any of the characters in the MCU.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But so that it comes time for our final scores. I actually, compared to you guys, I wasn't as harsh as I thought I was going to be. So I came in at 3.7. You guys both tied at 3.9. So
Yeah,
we
pretty
evened
solid.
out at about 3.8, which is pretty good.
Yep.
I don't have our other scores in front of us, but I think that's pretty comparable to what we
I think that was the
gave
closest
Iron
we've
Man.
been, right? As far as all three of us together. I know Iron Man was like a 4.1 or 4.2, but
4.3
Yeah.
is where we finished on that. We were pretty close. Me and you had the same. Jeff was higher than us. Iron Man 2 also came in at 3.8.
So there you go.
We all had a slightly different score. So
yeah, I think I have this one in C tier, but near the top of C tier. There's some other movies in C that I don't like as much as this one. Phase 1 just a lot of people just want to get through it. It's like season 1 of The Office. They're just like, just start with season 2. You don't need to watch it. But it's like, dude, there's some good stuff in season 1.
what would you say if I told you rated Thor higher than Iron Man 2?
I'd say that's accurate. I like this film a little bit more than Iron Man 2, but I really enjoy Iron Man 2. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all.
Well, that's it for Thor's rewatch experience. What do we have next?
Well, next time we have Captain America: The First Avenger, and I get to figure out why Jeff had that in S tier. And then, we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I actually want to throw an idea at you guys. No peer pressure by the audience hearing this, but I think we should do a Matrix rewatch with 4 coming out.
I was thinking about a different, like the next series that we could do. Like the MCU is going to take us a while. There's 11 MCU movies now, right? So it's going to take us a while. But I've been thinking about the next one, and like the Matrix would definitely be cool. I'd love to rewatch like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. That'd be another one that would take a while. The Matrix could be cool. I have not seen the sequels since the theater. Like I've seen those movies one time, both of them, because I hated them so much. I did not watch them again.
Yeah, I rewatched the first one last night, and
The first one's a
it
masterpiece.
still
dude.
blew my
First one's a
mind.
masterpiece.
It still blew my mind how good it is. I plan to watch the second one either tonight or tomorrow, so I'm going to rewatch them. I'll have my scores ready whenever you guys get
let's do
around
it.
to it. It had been almost probably close to 10 years since I watched the first one, and I caught a lot of stuff last night that I did not catch the first go round, or at least that I didn't
you know what?
remember
We probably
catching,
should.
so.
We probably should do that before the fourth one comes out. We should.
I
put
would
the
say so
MCU
too.
We
Yeah.
should put the MCU one on hold for 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks, and go ahead and get those done. Because I'm when you said that, I was like, yeah, I could totally get into the Matrix again.
Yeah, and I think it'd be worth revisiting before the fourth movie.
Yeah.
So that's I think it sounds like we'll do that, then Captain America. Jump back into that.
Yeah, I'm down.
That's fine. Yeah, I could do that.
The Marvel movies aren't going anywhere. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly. I'll probably watch Captain America 3 more times before we do the thing.
Yeah, let's do that though. And I've already watched Captain America again a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
so then we'll do that.
Well-
but anyways, we're talking about plans that people probably don't care about.
Yeah, let
so-
us know what you guys want us to rewatch and stuff. There's some 80s comedy movies I would love to get you guys' thoughts on that I just grew up on.
the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
Spaceballs or History of the
Oh,
World.
yeah.
Any Mel Brooks movie, basically. Any Chevy Chase movie. Yeah, I'm good with that.
all of it.
Yeah, you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. It helps the channel a
Yeah.
lot. And we've been having some really good traction lately with our trailer reactions. So if you haven't seen those,
My pinball video.
yeah, well, I've seen the pinball video. I can't say that I heard much of it, but yeah, we had
my mic is here this time,
yeah,
guys.
we had some
my mic is here.
we had some technical difficulties with that.
He was just so excited to talk about pinball that
Yeah.
he just went nuts.
Dude, I woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning because I was like, I want to be the first guy on YouTube to get a reaction video, and I'm pretty sure I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good video. If you
So-
go check it out if you haven't. We did some other reactions for Hawkeye. We did. Brian and I had just an absolutely like transcendent experience with the Matrix teasers, the red pill and blue pill thing, and we also did the full like official trailer for the Matrix. So go check those out if you haven't already. Look forward to some more MCU movies coming up soon. But sounds like we might be doing a Matrix dive here soon. Look out for that. As always,
All right.
fan out.
Fan out.
See you guys. Thanks.
Fan out.